Good morning, Mr. Brown. Have you noticed how warm it's been this winter?
Good morning, Suzy. Yes, I have. Climate change is becoming more evident every year.
It's worrying. Do you think we're doing enough to address it?
Honestly, no. Governments and individuals need to take much stronger actions to reduce carbon emissions.
That's true. I've started using my bike more instead of driving. Have you made any changes to your routine?
Yes, I've installed solar panels on my roof. It's a small step, but it reduces my dependency on fossil fuels.
That's fantastic. I've also started composting at home to reduce waste. Do you think renewable energy is the ultimate solution?
It's certainly a major part of the solution, but we also need to focus on reducing consumption and improving energy efficiency.
I agree. I've been reading about reforestation programs. Planting more trees seems like a simple yet effective way to combat climate change.
Absolutely, Suzy. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and provide habitat for wildlife. Are there any local initiatives you've joined?
Yes, there's a group in our neighborhood that organizes monthly tree planting drives. Would you like to join us?
That sounds wonderful. Count me in. By the way, what are your thoughts on plastic pollution?
It's devastating. I've switched to reusable bags and avoid single-use plastics. What about you?
I do the same. I also encourage my students to bring reusable water bottles to class. Small habits can make a big difference.
That's inspiring. Do you think education plays a key role in environmental conservation?
Without a doubt, if we teach children about sustainability from a young age, they'll grow up to be responsible adults.
True. Speaking of education, do you recommend any books or documentaries on the environment?
There's a documentary called Before the Flood. It's very informative. You should check it out.
I will. Thanks for the recommendation. This conversation has been so enlightening, Mr. Brown.
Likewise, Suzy. It's always a pleasure to discuss important issues with someone as passionate as you.
Mr. Brown, do you think governments are doing enough to enforce environmental policies?
Not really. Many governments prioritize economic growth over sustainability, which is short-sighted.
That's disappointing. Do you think stricter regulations on industries could help?
Absolutely. Industries are major contributors to pollution, so imposing limits on emissions is essential.
But wouldn't that hurt businesses? Some people argue that environmental policies can slow economic growth.
It might seem that way initially, but green technologies can create jobs and boost the economy in the long run.
That makes sense. What about renewable energy subsidies? Should governments invest more in them?
Definitely. Subsidies make renewable energy more affordable and accessible, encouraging widespread adoption.
Speaking of affordability, I've heard that electric vehicles are still too expensive for many people. How can we address that?
Governments could offer tax incentives or rebates to make them more accessible. Innovation will also lower costs over time.
That's true. Do you think public transportation needs to improve as well?
Yes, especially in urban areas. Efficient public transport reduces the number of cars on the road, cutting down emissions.
That reminds me, I've been thinking of starting a carpooling group in our community. Would you support that?
That's a fantastic idea, Suzy. It's practical and environmentally friendly. Let me know how I can help.
I will. Thank you. By the way, what's your opinion on water conservation? I've been trying to reduce my water usage at home.
That's commendable. Small actions like fixing leaks and using water-efficient appliances can make a big difference.
Yes, I've installed low-flow shower heads and only run the washing machine with full loads. Do you have any other tips?
Collecting rainwater for gardening is a great idea. Also, turning off taps while brushing your teeth saves gallons of water annually.
I'll try that. Do you think water scarcity will become a global crisis in the near future?
Unfortunately, it's already a crisis in many regions. Climate change and population growth are making it worse.
That's alarming. What can individuals do to help alleviate water scarcity?
Apart from conserving water, we can support organizations working to provide clean water to underprivileged communities.
I've donated to one such organization recently. It feels good to contribute to a meaningful cause.
That's wonderful, Suzy. Acts like yours show how individuals can make a real difference.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Do you think volunteering for environmental projects is just as impactful as donations?
Absolutely. Volunteering not only helps the cause, but also raises awareness and inspires others to join.
That's true. I've been thinking about joining a local beach cleanup. Have you ever participated in one?
Yes, I have. It's a rewarding experience to see the immediate results of your efforts.
I will. Speaking of beaches, do you think tourism is contributing to environmental degradation?
You should definitely try it. Unfortunately, yes. Mass tourism often leads to littering, habitat destruction, and overuse of natural resources.
That's a shame. Shouldn't governments regulate tourism to minimize its impact?
They should. Sustainable tourism policies, like limiting visitors in fragile areas, are crucial to protecting ecosystems.
I agree. I've started researching eco-friendly travel options. Have you ever stayed at an eco-resort?
I have, and it was a great experience. They use renewable energy, recycle waste, and serve locally sourced food.
That sounds amazing. I'll look into it for my next vacation. Do you think the hospitality industry is adapting well to sustainability trends?
It's improving, but there's still a long way to go. More hotels need to adopt green practices, such as eliminating single-use plastics.
True. Speaking of plastics, I recently saw a documentary about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It was heartbreaking.
I've seen that too. It's shocking how much plastic ends up in our oceans. Did they mention ways to combat it?
Yes, they highlighted initiatives like the Ocean Cleanup Project. Have you heard of it?
I have. It's an innovative solution. Projects like these give me hope that we can reverse some of the damage.
Me too. But do you think technology alone can solve environmental problems?
No, it has to be a combination of technology, policy, and individual behavior change. Everyone has a role to play.
That's true. I've been trying to teach my younger siblings about sustainability. Do you think children grasp the importance of these issues?
Absolutely. Children are incredibly receptive, especially when they see how their actions can make a difference.
I've noticed that too. My brother even started a recycling club at his school. Isn't that inspiring?
It really is. Young people often have the energy and creativity to lead the charge for a better future.
That's why I think schools should incorporate more environmental education into their curricula. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. If children learn about sustainability early, they'll carry those values into adulthood.
Mr. Brown, do you think social media is helping raise awareness about environmental issues?
Yes, social media has been a powerful tool for spreading information and mobilizing people for environmental causes.
I've seen that too. Many influencers promote sustainable living. Do you follow any of them?
I do. Some of them share practical tips and ideas that are easy to implement. Do you have a favorite?
Yes, there's one influencer who shares amazing DIY upcycling projects. It's incredible how creative people can be.
That's wonderful. Upcycling is a great way to reduce waste and breathe new life into old items.
I agree. I recently turned an old ladder into a bookshelf. Do you like doing DIY projects?
I do, though I'm not as creative as some people. I enjoy making birdhouses from scrap wood.
That's a lovely idea. Birds need safe spaces too. Have you noticed fewer birds around lately?
Yes, habitat loss and pesticide use are taking a toll on bird populations. It's a concerning trend.
It really is. What can we do to help birds thrive?
Planting native trees and avoiding harmful chemicals in gardens can make a big difference.
I'll keep that in mind. Speaking of plants, do you think urban areas should have more green spaces?
Definitely. Green spaces improve air quality, provide shade, and promote biodiversity.
I love visiting parks. They're so peaceful. Have you ever participated in a community garden project?
Yes, I have. It's a great way to grow fresh produce while fostering a sense of community.
That sounds amazing. I've always wanted to try gardening, but don't know where to start. Any tips?
Start small with easy-to-grow plants like herbs or tomatoes. It's rewarding to see your efforts bloom.
I'll give it a try. Gardening sounds like a relaxing hobby. Do you think it's therapeutic?
Very much so. It connects you to nature and helps reduce stress. Plus, it's a healthy way to spend time outdoors.
I can see that. Do you think spending time in nature makes people more environmentally conscious?
Absolutely. Experiencing nature firsthand fosters a deeper appreciation for it, encouraging people to protect it.
That's true. I've started hiking recently, and it's given me a new perspective on the importance of preserving natural areas.
Hiking is wonderful. It reminds us of how beautiful the earth is and why we must work to protect it.
Exactly. I've been thinking of volunteering with a wildlife conservation group. Have you ever done that?
I have. It's incredibly rewarding to contribute to protecting endangered species and their habitats.
That sounds like a great experience. What kind of wildlife did you work with?
I worked on a project to protect sea turtles. We helped monitor their nests and ensure the hatchlings made it to the ocean safely.
That must have been amazing. Sea turtles are so fascinating. Were there any challenges during the project?
Yes, keeping predators away from the nests and educating tourists about not disturbing the turtles were big challenges.
Education is so important. I've noticed many people still litter at beaches. How can we change that mindset?
Awareness campaigns and clear signage can help. It's also about leading by example and encouraging others to do the same.
That's a good point. Do you think stricter fines for littering would make a difference?
They could, but enforcement is key. Laws are only effective if people know there are real consequences for breaking them.
True. Speaking of laws, do you think global agreements like the Paris Accord are effective?
They're a step in the right direction, but countries need to follow through on their commitments to make a real impact.
I agree. What can ordinary citizens do to support such agreements?
We can vote for leaders who prioritize climate action, reduce our own carbon footprints, and advocate for change in our communities.
That's inspiring. I've been trying to reduce my carbon footprint by eating less meat. Have you made any dietary changes?
Yes, I've cut down on red meat and try to eat more plant-based meals. It's healthier for us and better for the planet.
I've noticed that too. Do you think plant-based diets will become more popular in the future?
They already are. As people become more aware of the environmental impact of meat production, many are choosing plant-based options.
That's true. I've even seen plant-based alternatives in fast food chains. Do you think businesses are adapting well to these changes?
Some are, but others still resist. Consumer demand plays a big role in pushing businesses toward sustainability.
That makes sense. I always try to support eco-friendly companies. Do you think our purchasing choices really make a difference?
Absolutely. When consumers prioritize sustainability, companies are forced to adapt or risk losing customers.
That's reassuring. I've also been exploring secondhand shopping to reduce waste. Have you ever tried thrifting?
Yes, I have. It's a great way to save money, reduce waste, and find unique items.
I love it too. It's amazing how much perfectly good stuff gets discarded. How can we encourage more people to embrace reuse?
Education and accessibility are key. If people see how much they can save and how easy it is, they're more likely to try it.
That's true. I've been teaching my friends about reducing waste. Do you think peer influence is effective?
Very effective. People are more likely to adopt new habits when they see their friends and family doing the same.
That's encouraging. What about corporate waste? How can big companies reduce their environmental impact?
By adopting circular economy practices, like designing products that can be reused, recycled, or easily repaired.
I've read about that. It's such an innovative concept. Do you think it will become mainstream?
I believe it will. As resources become scarcer, businesses will have no choice but to adopt sustainable practices.
That's a hopeful outlook. Are there any companies you think are leading the way in sustainability?
Yes, companies like Patagonia and Tesla are great examples of businesses prioritizing sustainability.
I admire Patagonia's efforts. Their repair and reuse program is incredible. Do you think more brands will follow suit?
I think so. Consumer demand for ethical and sustainable products is growing, so companies will need to adapt to stay competitive.
That's great to hear. Do you think ethical consumerism will eventually become the norm?
I hope so. If more people understand the impact of their choices, ethical consumerism could become a powerful movement.
That's true. Have you noticed younger generations being more environmentally conscious?
Definitely. Young people are leading the charge, from organizing climate marches to innovating new solutions.
It's inspiring. I've been following Greta Thunberg's activism. Do you think individuals like her can bring about real change?
Absolutely. Her efforts have raised global awareness and pushed governments to take action. She's proof that one voice can make a difference.
That's so motivating. Do you think we need more environmental leaders like her?
Yes, but leadership isn't limited to famous figures. Everyday people can lead by setting examples in their communities.
That's a good point. I've been thinking about organizing a workshop on sustainability for my neighbors. Do you think that would help?
Definitely. Community initiatives are powerful because they create a ripple effect of awareness and action.
I'll start planning it soon. What topics should I include in the workshop?
Focus on practical tips like waste reduction, energy conservation, and sustainable shopping. Keep it interactive and fun.
That's a great idea. Do you think incentives like discounts for using reusable items could encourage more sustainable habits?
Absolutely. Incentives can be a great motivator, especially for those who are hesitant to change their habits.
I've noticed that too. Some stores now offer discounts for bringing reusable bags or cups. Do you think that trend will grow?
I believe so. As more businesses realize the benefits of sustainability, these practices will become more widespread.
That's good to hear. What's one habit you think everyone should adopt to live more sustainably?
Reducing waste. It's simple but impactful. Whether it's composting, recycling, or avoiding single-use items, every effort counts.
I'll make that my focus. What about energy use? Do you think people understand how much energy they waste daily?
Not always. Small actions like turning off lights or unplugging unused devices can save a surprising amount of energy.
I'll start paying more attention to that. Do you think smart home technology can help reduce energy consumption?
Definitely. Smart thermostats and energy-efficient appliances make it easier to monitor and control energy use.
I've been considering installing a smart thermostat. Is it worth the investment?
It is. It can save money on energy bills while reducing your carbon footprint. Plus, it's very convenient.
That sounds like a win-win. Do you think technology will continue to play a bigger role in sustainability?
Absolutely. Innovations like renewable energy storage and carbon capture are game changers for the environment.
That's exciting. Have you heard about vertical farming? It seems like a promising solution for urban areas.
I have, and it's amazing. Vertical farming uses less water and space while providing fresh, local produce.
I hope it becomes more common. Do you think it could solve food security issues?
It has great potential, especially in densely populated cities where arable land is scarce.
That's encouraging. What about renewable energy? Which source do you think holds the most promise?
Solar energy is incredibly promising because it's abundant and becoming more affordable. Wind energy is also very effective.
I've noticed more wind farms popping up. Do you think they're a good investment for communities?
Yes, they provide clean energy and can create jobs. Plus, once they're set up, maintenance costs are relatively low.
That's great to know. Do you think we'll ever achieve a world powered entirely by renewable energy?
It's possible, but it requires global cooperation, significant investment, and a shift in how we think about energy.
I hope we get there someday. Do you think personal choices or government policies are more important in achieving sustainability?
Both are critical. Personal choices drive demand for change, while policies create the framework to make large-scale impacts.
That's a good balance. Thank you for this conversation, Mr. Brown. I've learned so much today.
You're very welcome, Suzy. It's always a pleasure to discuss these important topics. Keep up the great work.